Are you happy with it?
And showing on television was Oh, Mr. Porter, with Will Hay and Maud Marriott, Graham Moffat, the old man, the boy, and the pompous man.
Hey, there's an old carriage over there, but I don't think it'll roll.
I mean, everything on this station is either too old or it won't work. And you're both. Go on, roll the pair of you. Go on.
And I thought, that's it. Old man, young boy, and a pompous man.
There's a couple of pounds of steak there, sir. Compliment to the house.
Oh.
Yes, sir. Oh, by the way, sir, what about my stripe?
Your stripe?
I was in Lance Corporal for 14 years. Can I keep it?
No, Jones, I'm afraid you can't.
Well, in that case, I'll keep the steak, I think.
What's that supposed to be, boy?
Well, you said if you had nothing else, we'd tie a carving knife to a broom handle.
I didn't say keep the brush on the end of it, you stupid boy.
Well, he should have stayed.
I don't want any insubordination. Take this man's name,
The
son.
BBC controller, Paul Fox, was worried about it because he thought we were taking the mickey out of England's finest hour. So we all assembled in Broadcasting House, and we showed it to an audience of 250, and they were not allowed to talk to each other. They all had things to write on and make their comments.
And 90% of the people in that room hated it. One woman said, oh, I don't think it's funny, all those old men. Oh, tell me, forgot about the war, isn't it, God? That's all they do is talk about the war, talk about the war. And 3 nights this went on, and I was dying.
The best we got was one little man who said, well, I quite liked it. But aside from that, I'm afraid we... well, I'd suppressed the evidence, actually, and didn't let anyone see the results, and we went ahead just the same.
Just sign that, would you, please?
Certainly, sir. Thank you, sir.
When did you leave the army?
1915, sir. I was invalided out, sir. The old minces, I couldn't quite make the focus, you see, sir.
Presumably that's why you've signed the table.
I was 48, and I suppose the character was 70-odd. If you're playing an old soldier, the more wars you've been in, the more you know about it. So, I mean, I had been in the army. I went in the army in 1941 and ended up in the prisoner of war camp in Austria.
I just showed him the cold steel, sir. It never fails. Hey, don't lock it up on me, no, sir. Hey, don't lock it up.
One of the things about playing Corporal Jones, having been a prisoner of war for 4 years, it was a sort of revenge in a funny sort of way. So it gave me an added, oh, you know, that Hitler, you know, ooh.
Well, there's only one thing to do. We must grill him.
Over a slow fire, that's all. They don't talk, sir. We did that in the Sudan. In the Sudan, we've done that, sir.
Oh, pull yourself together, Corporal. Not savages.
And of course, working with Arthur Lowe, he was such a good actor. When you did a scene with him, he was so sort of real. It wasn't like acting at all. You just, you know, it was wonderful to do.
Do you mind, Jones, if I have a little peep?
Oh, not like that. That's not the way to do it at all. You tap the muzzle of the rifle and the man brings his gun and his foot round, so. Like that, you see?
I see, sir, yes.
I'll show you how to do it.
As far as Dad's Army is concerned and Captain Mannering, we're really back to pomposity again, because it's terribly pompous. But the most wonderful thing is pomposity being deflated. When his cap goes to one side and he ends up with his glasses like... That's wonderful, wonderful comedy.
His great quality, I think, was outrage. He was a great bridler. He bridled a lot.
Judas. I beg your pardon? Judas! I'm awfully sorry, but I don't quite follow you.
It was class again. It was a bank manager facing a public school boy. It was wonderful, because John Le Mesurier was, as my mother would say, was the real thing, because my mother was a bit of a snob. But Arthur is a very small part-time bank manager, and he's livid that the other guy presumably had all the advantages. So you get that wonderful conflict between those two. I think it's very funny.
Now, I'm going to have a word with these prisoners.
You can't speak any German, can you, sir?
They'll know by the tone of my voice that I'm in charge. They recognize authority when they see it.
Yeah.
You better come with me.
Yes, of course.
Now, patient!
Oh, I say, they're awfully well disciplined, aren't they, sir?
Nothing of the sort. Just slavish, blind obedience. I tell you, Wilson, they're a nation of automatons, led by a lunatic who looks like Charlie Chaplin.
How dare you compare our glorious leader with that non-Aryan clown?
Oh, look here.
I am making notes, Captain. And your name will go on the list. And when we win the war, you will be brought to account.
You write what you like. You're not going to win this war.
Oh, yes, we are.
Oh, no, you're not.
Oh, yes, we are.
Whistle while you work. Hitler is at work. He's half army, so's his army. Whistle while you...
Your name will also go on the list. What is it?
Don't tell him, Pike.
Pike.
We weren't really aware of it being a success or it was becoming a cult or whatever as we were going on. We realised it was becoming popular. But I suppose it was things like suddenly realising that that episode was nothing to do with the war.
How very nice to see you. I think we have met before.
When Arthur played his own brother, an awful drunken travel sailor, wonderful performance. It was only set in the war. It was nothing to do with the Home Guard or the war. He could do it about the conflict between those two, that whole family thing going on. And the war was purely background. But the episode could have been in anything. It was about two characters.
What floor is this, then?
That's when we started to realise, oh, David and Jimmy feel they can write about things that don't have to have any reference to the Home Guard or the war in at all, really. And that's when we realised, oh, it's made it. We've made it, whatever you want to say, but it has made it. It's shown its own right.
Today, sitcoms have not just realism and emotional depth, but a frankness that would have been unimaginable in the days of Hancock, or even Till Death Us Do Part.
Do we, have a problem?
Sorry, love?
How can I put this, nicely? The garage doors are open, but the car doesn't seem to want to come up the drive.
To get the stiff-lipped British to laugh at bedroom antics took a sea change in attitudes which began with the sexual revolution at the end of the 1960s. And as fashions went from pinstripe to candy stripe, so sitcoms followed suit.
The whole liberal feeling had swept the country. It was really England swings and all that. It really had some effect. People kind of straightened up and felt good and looked good, and clothing became important, and decor became important, and fashion designers became famous. And the laws on homosexuality and prostitution changed. So the mood swung from the dour and the black and white and the working class to generation gap comedy, where my teenage daughter doesn't understand me, but I don't understand my teenage daughter. I don't like her boyfriend. Well...
The 70s were terrific. I mean, I always say now, when I think of the 70s, it was a golden time. I suppose people, when they get middle-aged like me, get a bit nostalgic. And they all say, when I was young. But it was true. It was a fantastic time to be young. You felt as if you were very free, having a wonderful time, and that the world was your oyster. Great fun in those early days. It was adventures.
Hey, you need a comb up.
As we will see in part 2, 70s sitcoms eagerly embraced all the colour, daring and excitement of the new decade.
I'm so glad about Beryl.
So am I. We've still got 55 minutes.
Attitudes were changing, morals were loosening, and innuendo was positively rampant.
They're probably going out to dinner. They're probably having it now.
So why aren't we?
And part 2 is at 10 o'clock next Wednesday.